Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Shivani Tyagi, your current affair teacher, and this is a beautiful morning to start with today's current affair. So we'll be covering very important news today, and I'll be dictating you some thinkers also. So make sure that you are reading it, understanding it, write all the keywords also. Okay, now let's move to our first news. So it says pole soap on Tamil Nadu and cash benefits. So with this, I want to introduce you few thinkers who said something about buying votes. So we have Alexei Tocqueville. So what did he say? In democracy, he warned about soft despotism. So what did he say? He warned about kind of government who buys vote, right? And by buying, I mean he said that sometimes government treats citizens like children, right? By giving them benefits so they remain dependent, right? So people then stop basically asking questions, thinking critically, right? And they just support government. Why? Because they want to stay dependent on them, because they want some benefits from them, right? And same thing is said by Karl Marx also. What did he say? He said that ruling class sometimes give benefits, small benefits, or you can say small concessions to people, right, to stop revolution. So this is like buying peace and not solving inequality, right? And same thing is said to us by Milton Friedman also. What did he say? He said, he criticized vote buying. What did he say? That through money, when government tried to buy people, so that equality that was supposed to be given by these authorities, this vanished. So there is nothing like government spending someone else's money on someone else, right? And the same thing is happening over here also. This is our hard-earned money, right? We give taxes. Government should use it like basically for our benefit. But what they are doing, they are basically using it for their personal gain, right? So can we call this corruption? That you can tell me in the comment section that if we can call this act as corruption or not. Now, we are going to understand this news. We are going to understand this thing with an example. So imagine karo, there is a classroom, right, where elections are going to happen for class monitor, right? Now what happens? One student says that, you know what, I will give you chips if you'll, vote for me. Every week I'll give you chips. The another one says that, you know what, I will give you chocolate and I will give you chips, right? The third one says, I will give you chips, chocolate, and I'll give you biscuits also, and free notebooks also, right? So soon everyone is like trying to promise more and more, right? More gifts to win votes. So this is exactly what is happening in Tamil Nadu politics today. Basically, political parties, they are competing by announcing, cash transfer, free items, welfare schemes. So this is known as competitive populism. Okay, so these thinkers and this news is totally relevant and connected. That we'll understand. First of all, let's understand that what this news is connecting us to, which paper it is connecting us to. So this is connecting us with GS paper 2. We are going to understand about free and fair election and how it is affecting role of election commission of India, right? Electoral reforms, what are the changes that we need if this type of problem is arising? What kind of changes do we need? After this, GS paper 3, economy, fiscal deficit, and public expenditure. So we'll be discussing all of these together. Now, first of all, let's understand that what this news is talking about. Okay, so here we are talking about a very important issue, that is Indian democracy. So the question arises that should political parties be allowed to promise cash benefit or free buys during elections or not, right? So it is connected with the role of Election Commission of India and the Model Code of Conduct, that is MCC. ठीक है, कब फॉर्म हुआ था, फिर right, उसके बाद में क्या क्या रूल्स यहाँ पर है, and what type of reforms do we need more, that will be understanding. ठीक है, तो अभी इश्यू क्या जनरेट हो रहा है? So this news is talking about helping poor people is important, but giving too many cash benefits only to win votes is very dangerous, and this is known as what? This is known as competitive populism, right? So every party is trying to give more money than the other. So this becomes a race to attract voters using what? Using money. Is this fair? No. Why? Because that money was supposed to use somewhere where it was needed, right? So now we are, we are going to understand what is welfare and what is free pies. Now, when we talk about welfare, what is it? It is, good and it is necessary, right? So these are essential services we are talking about, right? So these are the basic things we are talking about that are, needed for our basic life, like food is there, education is there, health, housing, employment, right? All of these supports, and these are important for what? These are important for welfare state, right? Now, okay, now let's understand that what is free buys that is, problematic. So these are extra benefits we are talking about, right? So these are like mainly used for what? These are mainly used for free elections, right? So what we are doing here, we are basically, buying votes, right? So why free buys are problem? They are problematic because free buys means we are, we are getting, goods free. We are basically talking about cash here, we are talking about electricity, transport, right? Other benefits that are given by the government, right? Especially before election to attract voters. So this may look very helpful, that what if they are giving that kind of money to the people, right? Because that's their hard-earned money and they are used in that way. But no, the problem is the long-term problem we are talking about, right? So first problem that we have to understand is pressure on government finances. So when government gives too many free buys, government spending increases a lot, but income, right, tax revenue does not increase equally, right? So the money that was supposed to be spent like for good resources, for basically better benefit, now we are using it to buy votes, right? And now government, the state is not generating that amount कि वो basically दो जगह पर use हो जाए, right? So that money which we are using as free buys, right, that will be used, basically we are using, right? So this is going to create a long term problem for us, right? So this creates a what? This creates a budget deficit, right? There will be like more spending than the income generated. So to manage this, what happens? We are, the state is taking more loan, they are increasing debt, right? And there will be like increased burden on future taxpayers also, right? So this is the first problem, the first pressure that we are talking about on government finances. Okay? Now let's understand what's the second thing. Second thing is weakens free and fair elections also. In democracy, we are talking about what? We are talking about, elections where we are representing, where we are, voting for that person who is actually, eligible for that, right? But now in this case, what is happening? We are basically moving towards the, some greediness, right? We are basically moving with this ideology that who will give more money, more goods, right? And on that basis we are voting, right? So money based voting we are having, right? So is this good for a country like us, where we are supporting democracy, where we want to, have free and fair elections? No. Is this problematic? Yes. Is this going to create long term problem? Yes. Right. After this, let's understand the third thing, hurts long-term development. As I told you, government money is limited, right? If a large part of it is like spent on free buys, then what will happen? Less money remains for development. So this is going to affect what? Infrastructure effect hoga, road and railway, cities, all of these things. Other than that, health system will also be affected, right? Health system are basically hospitals, are doctors, and then education, schools, teacher, all the resources that are required for it, right? Jobs creations, skill development, right? So this will result to what? This will result to weak economy. The state will be, poor in long term. Poor human development will be there. Less employment opportunities will be there, right? Some policy analysis also shows that, unconditional cash giveaways do not improve long term outcomes. Like education is there, nutrition is there, because for them we have to like think what is, required right now, what kind of resources are in requirement right now, right? If we are, giving benefits just like that for a small portion, for some, small part of a community, so for a long term it is going to affect us not only economically but in different sectors also. Okay? After this, creates a culture of dependency. Too many free buys will make people what? Dependent on government support, right? Will we think about ourselves generating our things? No. Will be dependent on whom? Will be dependent on government, right? So too many free buys will basically make people dependent on government support, and there will be less motivation to build skills also. We'll expect more and more benefits because of it, right? So this will reduce what? This will reduce our self-reliance. Basically, I'll be relying on whom? I'll be relying on government, right? And self-reliance is not good for economic growth, right? Other than that, increased debt burden on states. Many Indian states are already high fiscal deficit and rising public debt, right? Now they are already struggling with it, right? They are already facing high fiscal debt. They are already raising public debt. So when they give large free buys, what happens? They may need to borrow money, right? This will lead to what? Financial instability ho jayegi, reduced hoga hamara future spending capacity also, right? So not all welfare is bad, but it is very important, it is very necessary for you to understand that free buys does not mean that we are talking about welfare schemes over here. No, good welfare schemes are basically those which are giving us long term benefits, which are basically talking about education, about healthcare, about food security, about Magnereka, right? Pensions for poor, right? But problematic free buys are there, which are what? Free electricity without any limitation, free consumer goods, right? Cash transfers we are talking about, which are going to affect us in a long term also, for a long term purpose, right? So the difference is that welfare builds human capacity, right? Human capability. But free buys only gives us what? This gives us short-term political gain, and this is nowhere benefiting the society. The only benefit that people are getting are those politicians, basically those people, to have to gain more. I hope this is understood. Now, let's understand that what is the role that election commission here have. So election commission of India basically conducts elections under article 324 of the constitution. I've explained you this many times. So it uses model code of conduct, that is MCC. Okay, we basically conduct MCC. So MCC is a set of guidelines where political parties are basically told that these are the rules and regulations that you have to conduct this election. It starts from the date the election is announced, right? From the date that election is announced and till the end of election, right? So rules and regulations are basically given to the state, right? And at the end, when results are declared, it says that government cannot announce new schemes, they cannot give any financial grants, right? They cannot misuse public money for campaigning. Now you might be asking, them that if we have moral this MCC, if we have this moral code of conduct, then why these rules and regulations are not used, why they are not using it, why we are facing this problem? The problem is that the time span that we are talking about is only this two. Pre-poll election, right? Guidelines, they are not mentioned. So the problem is arising here. So MCC basically needs some reforms so that they can tell us. So the problem basically MCC is basically not covering is pre-poll promises, right? So this conduct is set of rules that is used by Election Commission of India, which is ensuring free fair elections, right? But it starts only after election dates are announced. Before this, political parties releases their manifestos, they releases their promises, right? Like free cash, like loan waivers and free services, right? To attract the voters. But there are no guidelines which can tell us that you cannot do such things, right? So they are free to do that. Since MCC is not yet in force at that time, it cannot fully control or stop these promises, right? So this is why it is creating problem, because voters will choose based on short term benefits, right? Instead of policies, right? Instead of demands, resources, right? That should be like based for the long term goal, right? So now the question arises that how this will stop, right? So now we are going to understand the role of Supreme Court over here and the legal depth also. So let's understand this. So the issue of free buys, it's already reached the Supreme Court of India, right? So now what court is saying, the court is basically talking about, that is free buy like somewhere, distorting democracy. But the court also said that political promises are part of democracy. So can we consider it a gray area? Because Supreme Court said that yes, this is a gray area we can talk, right? This is not something to be like worry about, because that's their right, they can make promises. But then again, the problem is that these promises are like not giving us long term benefits, right? They are going to create problem in the coming time, right? The debt that it is going to basically put on state. So these are the problems that are going to affect us. I hope this is understood. Now, let's understand the historical background of MCC, how it was created, why it was created, when it was implemented, what kind of reforms we should have, so that we have understood. So now, when we talk about MCC, so it was first used in Kerala in 1960, and it became national practical later. So it was formalized by ECI. The issue of free buy has already reached the Supreme Court India, that we have understood, right? So it became national practices later, and it was formalized ECI in 1970, right? Now, if we understand its background, origin of MCC is it was first used in Kerala in 1960, became a national practice later, formalized by ECI. Even though MCC is not a law, it works because ECI enforces it strictly. Political parties generally follow it, but there are certain rules, there are certain reforms that are still needed to be like added in this, right? Like pre-poll guidelines should be there, right? Because we know how much it is going to affect us. I hope it is understood. Now, why this is important to us? Because India is already seeing, competition populism, right? We are seeing increasing debt in states, right? Cash transfer politics is like happening a lot nowadays. Pressure on fiscal discipline is basically happening. So this is, especially visible in states like Tamil Nadu is there, Punjab is there, and we have Andhra Pradesh also. So these are the states where we are seeing it more and more, and these states are going in debt because of this, right? So what I can say that welfare is necessary, like for social justice, it is very necessary. Politicians to make promises, that is also necessary. But competitive free buys weakens fiscal discipline, right? It is weakening our democracy also. So this is why it is very important. There should be some balance in between. Welfare should be targeted. It should be sustainable. It should be like long term, right? Election promises must be transparent, and they should be like financially stable. So that's exactly what we have to focus on. But these kinds of things are very much problematic for long-term goals. So this is why we should consider it and we should talk about it. I hope the news is clear to you. So we have one question here. Please write down the answer. Then we'll be moving to the another news. Again, you'll get few seconds to read the question, and then you can write the answer in the chat box. So the question says, with reference to the role of Election Commission of India and the Model Code of Conduct, consider the following statement. The MC come into force immediately after the announcement of election dates. MCC is legally enforceable law passed by Parliament. MCC restricts government from announcing new schemes for financial grants during the election period. Can I have correct answer, please? So the MCC comes into force immediately after the announcement of election dates. This I have told you, yes, just after election announcement of election dates, and on the date it is announced, right? So in these two parts, this MCC is covered, right? So the option number 1 is correct. Then option number 2, the MCC is legally enforceable law passed by Parliament. No, just now I told you it is not legally passed by Parliament, but it is used, right, by everyone. So this is not a law. This is set of guidelines we are talking about, right? So these are the rules basically that are agreed by the political parties, right? Okay, after this, the MCC restricts government from announcing new schemes of financial grants during the election period. Bilkul. So this is the correct option that we have. So what is the correct option? We have option number A. Very good. Yes, A is the correct option. Okay. Yes, Rohit, very good. 1 and 3. Good. Now, hot air on Donald Trump and environmental issue. Okay. So, when we talk about Trump, it's getting funny nowadays. Why? Because Greenland, the major issue that Trump is coming. So it's funny that how Trump never mentions environmental issues and how he always goes against it. But then now Greenland, right, which is major cause of environmental issue, he's using that. He wants to adapt that. He wants to control that. But then again, okay, let's understand this with an example. That imagine there is a big house, right? This big house, right? Now this big house is called Earth. In this house there are many rooms, like countries like India is there, we have US, we have China, we have everyone, right? So some rooms are very powerful, some rooms have like they are not very strong, they have like influence on how the whole house is like run, right? So we are talking about US here. So now one of the most powerful room is United States, and its leader is who? Donald Trump, right? So the news here is talking about that when Trump talks about the environmental, he speaks a lot, but his actions are not very strong for protecting nature, right? So it is like saying that I care about cleanliness, but then again, Trump is showing what? Is showing garbage over here, right? So he mentions that yes, I care about the environment. I know that there is some environment problem that are like, assigning, but then again, when it comes to Paris Agreement, when it comes to, schemes, when it comes to talking about it, when it comes to Greenland, right? Trump is always seen basically working opposite of it, right? Now, let's understand that what the news is and what we are talking about here. So in this news, we are going to understand that how Trump is, going against the environmental approach, right? How he, talks about it but never works towards it, right? Now we are going to understand that why his policies are seen as harmful for global climate actions. So this news is all going to be about India, basically US and its connection with environment, and what India is basically doing for it, right? How India is basically, working towards the environment, right? Now let's understand first of all that what exactly Trump do, why we are blaming this man so much. It's like एक आदमी के पीछे पड़ गए किया क्या है उसने. Let's understand this. So during his presidency, what happened? Trump basically made 4 major changes in environmental policies, right? So first of all, he weakened environmental protection laws, right? So what did he do? So earlier, US government had like strong environmental rules, right? You have to control pollution, reduce carbon emissions, promote clean energy, right? So they were implemented by the environmental protection agencies, that is EPA. Right? So now what did Trump do against it? So he weakened emission standards, right? He relaxed industrial pollution norms, right? He reduced regulations on power plants, right? For example, he diluted rules similar to the Clean Power Plan, right? So in Obama era policy, which we'll be reading again after this, his policy was like, to cut carbon emissions, right? So he went against it also. So what happened because of this? More pollution was seen, more greenhouse gases were seen, right? And now we are basically observing global warming, right? Global warming because of this, right? So these are the results that came out of Trump's action, right? The second thing that he did is he opposed global climate agreement, right? So he pulled US out of the Paris Agreement, right? So this we all know. I have like explained you many times also what happened. So the world created a global treaty, right? Paris Agreement was there. So the agreement was why? The agreement was aims to, limit global टेम्परेचर राइज, राइट? हम एमिशंस को रिड्यूस करने वाले हैं और क्या करेंगे हम लोग क्लीन एनर्जी को प्रमोट करेंगे. नाउ व्हाट डिड ट्रम्प डू? अगेन ट्रम्प बीइंग ट्रम्प, he withdrew the US from the Paris Agreement in 2017. We are talking about. He sent a global signal, and if like we are agreeing, right? This agreement was there. Small country, developed, all the countries were coming together, and the goal was only this: that we'll be agreeing to some basic guidelines towards the environment. Now this sent a very strong, very negative message. Okay, now this sent a very negative message that, if basically these countries are not working towards it, then why will we, right? So this kind of, action somewhere like, the transparency that they were going through, the trust these countries were going through, right? That is basically gone, right? I hope this is understood. After this, what happened? The third thing, he promoted fossil fuels, right? Instead of renewable energy, what did he do? He promoted fossil fuels, right? So Trump supported coal, he supported oil, he supported natural gases, right? And he promoted what? He promoted oil drilling, coal mining, gas pipelines, right? So these are the major source of carbon emissions. And what happened because of this? There was increase in greenhouse gases, or ज़्यादा global warming हो गई, right? So he questioned, climate science also, right? So basically this news is also criticizing Trump for like, doubting climate change science, right? Downplaying environmentalist discretes, right? This is confusing among people, right? So this is creating what? Delay in all the policies actions also, right? So now I just want to ask all of you, like, if he's against like climate change, if he's not basically admitting that there is something like climate change is happening, and if he's like talking and then going against it, so I want to ask you the question that how can he talk about Greenland, the major cause which happened because of environmental issue, then how he can, mention in his terms Greenland word? Because if he's not targeting, if he's not understanding, if he's not taking Greenland as an issue, as an environmental issue, then how can he talk about it, right? Now let's understand what is the core issue that we are basically facing. So Trump is focusing on fossil fuel gas while weakening environmental protection laws of the biggest polluter, right? Now, this is very dangerous. Why? Because climate change is already a global crisis, right? And when we talk about United States is one of the biggest polluters, right? We all know that. So when the US reduces its efforts, what happens? It is going to weak our global climate cooperation. It is going to increase our global basically warming risk, right? Now, let's understand that what kind of policies we are criticizing. So first of all, this is basically, there is support for fossil fuels. So Trump strongly supports expanding oil, gas, producing, approving pipelines and drilling, rolling back restrictions and fossil fuels that I've explained you, right? After this, weakening climate regulations also, roll back regulations on air pollutions, ease restrictions on carbon emissions, withdrew from the Paris Agreement, right? In 2017, he did that. And globally, it did not send a good message, right? So because other countries felt that US being the most polluter is like coming out of this agreement, right? So where is the truth? Where is the transparency? Where it is basically liability, right? Why we are the only country who have to like follow this agreement, right? We are not supposed to follow it, because somewhere you'll be reducing lots of emissions. You'll be doing, you'll be working with carbon dioxide, where you have to neglect sometimes some portion of your development also. So those developing countries felt that if basically US being the most polluter country, then why we have to work towards it, right? I hope this is understood. Now, let's understand climate change to be a global, right? So now climate change is causing flood, it is causing heat waves, rising sea levels, because we have seen like past few years we've seen that how much temperature is rising, right? And no one can, no, like not a single country can escape this. Developing or developed, this division is created by us. But when it comes to natural causes, no one will like escape from this, right? So global cooperation is very much essential, and the act of Trump is going to create a lot of problem in coming time. Long term effect we are going to see, right? So now let's understand the historical background of this first of all. So first of all, you have to understand that in 2007, what happened? Supreme Court judgment came, right? So the Supreme Court said that greenhouses gas are pollutants, right? So EPA must regulate, right? In 2009, what happened? There was like EPA, and they officially declared that carbon dioxide, methanes, right? So these are very dangerous to public health. So in the time of Obama, right, what did he do? Like before Trump, what did he do? There were like policies which included clean power plan also, vehicle emissions also, renewable energy promotions also, right? Now when we talk about this time, the Trump era, if we talk about this, the time reversed, things reversed in many of the cases, right? They weakened emission standards also, they promoted fossil fuels, and the Paris Agreement, they withdrew from it, right? So this is basically the argument that Trump is somewhere creating hot air. It means what? That he talks about energy growth, but when it comes to environmental responsibility, what he does, he ignores them, right? And this is very dangerous, because it is going to create more and more pollution in the coming time, right? Industries emit gases also, right? Hamara global cooperation, it is going to be weak, right? Other countries may stop taking climate action seriously, right? And when we are talking about future generation, this is the threat to them, right? Climate change will affect our food security, water, health, livelihood, right? So all these things will be affected. For future generation, we are not saving anything, we are neglecting each and everything, right? So if you talk about India, why this matters to us? Because India is a developing country, क्लाइमेट वनरेबल कंट्री है, एग्रीकल्चर डिपेंडेंट इकोनॉमी है हमारी, राइट? एंड if this global warming is increasing, what is happening? Our Indian farmers, right? They are going to suffer. Flood will be there, droughts will be there. They are going to increase, right? हमारा जो इकोनॉमी है वो क्या होगा? अफेक्ट हो जाएगा, है ना? So India's like position is totally based on common but differentiated responsibilities. That is CBDR. In the last clause only, I explained it to you. क्या है ये? That yes, we'll be participating in this, right? We'll have this common goal. The common goal will be what? Towards the environment. But okay, तो सीबीडीआर क्या है कि हमारे पास कॉमन गोल हो गया, ठीक है, डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज मस्ट टेक मोर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज, ठीक है। जो यूएस होगा समवेयर इट इज गोइंग टू बी वीकेंड इट्स कमिटमेंट बिकॉज ऑफ इट। तो हमारा सीबीडीआर में है कि डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज आर गोइंग टू पार्टिसिपेट बट नॉट एट द स्टेक ऑफ आवर डेवलपमेंट। हम अपने डेवलपमेंट में फोकस करेंगे, यस वी आर गोइंग टू रिड्यूस फ्यू थिंग्स, एमिशन पर फोकस करेंगे, गैसेस पर फोकस करेंगे, वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट एनवायरमेंट ऑल्सो, वी आर गोइंग टू यूज अबाउट सस्टेनेबल थिंग्स, बट देन अगेन जब बात आएगी कि किसको ज्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेनी चाहिए, so this has like clearly mentioned by our finance ministers also that these developing countries have to take more responsibilities. And when we talk about developing countries includes US also, but as I told you, like in the starting of this news only, US, basically Trump being Trump, is not recognizing environmental issues. I hope this is clear, the news is clear. Exactly, Gargi. The concept of Trump, who wants to make America great again, this might be the reason. So all the tactics, all the formations, all the wordings that are coming from Trump somewhere is related to this ideology also. That is, this MAGA, make America great again. So yes, somewhere it is leading to us towards that only. Okay, coming to the next news, the UAE India corridor is sparking our growth. Okay. Imagine, karo, two best friends we are talking about, India and UAE, right? So early, what happened? They used to exchange gifts together, right? Occasionally, they used to do that, but now they are deciding that let's build a fast highway, right, between our homes, so we can exchange things daily, right, and we can exchange those things quickly and more cheaply, right. So that highway is what we call the India-UAE Economic Corridor. So this corridor is not just about ships, basically. So sorry, these are not only about ships or basically roads. This is complete system we are talking about. This is the complete system of trade, finance, about the technology, and about the logistics that we are talking about, right? All these things will be connected all together, right? So Indian factories, UAE business hubs, right, like Dubai, and then further to Europe and Africa, we are going to connect all these. We are talking about all these together, right? So this idea is very important to us because it is connected to Europe Economic Corridor also, right? So this mega plan is going to connect India, Middle East, and Europe through rails, through ports, through digital networking also, so that exchange of all the goods could be done easily and more cheaply. ठीक है? So पहले समझ लेते हैं कि exactly क्या है, then we'll understand the history also. Okay. Brijesh, for that you can please call the Plutus IAS number that you can find on the Google. You can have the discussion over there. ठीक है? अब पहले समझ लेते हैं कि what this news is about, right? So this corridor is becoming a major growth engine for India's economy and global trade role, right? तो पहले तो इसको समझते हैं कि कॉरिडोर है क्या, ठीक है? तो ऐसे सोचो कि दो जो हमारा इंडिया मिडल ईस्ट यूरोप इकोनॉमिक है कॉरिडोर, दिस IMEC that we are talking about, it is like a big road for trade, right? Between countries it is happening, right? So this road is connecting us with like places like India को connect कर रहा है, United Arab को connect कर रहा है, Saudi Arabia को connect कर रहा है, Israel and Europe, right? So all these countries will be connected all together, right? अब ये road काम कैसे करने वाला है, how this road is going to work? It is not just one road we are talking about. So we are talking about ships also, we are talking about trains also, we are talking about ports also, and our digital system is also included in this for trade. ठीक है? तो मतलब if India wants to send goods to Europe, right? So goods will basically go by ships from India to UAE. Then it will go by train across Middle East. Then it will go by ship, or basically it will go by rail to Europe, right? So everything is basically happening how? It is happening faster, it is happening cheaper, and it is happening easier, right? Now इससे पहले क्या होता था? What was the old system before this? So before this, goods from India to Europe traveled mainly through the Suez Canal, right? Now there was a problem with this route. What was the problem? The problem was, it was like taking lots of time, right? Long distance was there, slow delivery was happening, right? And apart from this, the major and the important thing, high cost was there, right? And other thing is geopolitical risk, right? Blockage, war, privacy. So all these concerns were happening because of this Suez Canal, right? Now what is the new thing that is happening? So with India UAE corridor, Now goods can move more faster. Now what's happening? So now goods can move more faster. राइट सो अभी हमारे पास में इसके साथ साथ में डिजिटल कस्टम्स राइट जो हमारा पेपर वर्क है दैट कैन ऑल्सो बी रिड्यूस एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम राइट दैट पेमेंट विल बी इजीली डन राइट लॉजिस्टिक्स हब्स की बात करें तो हमारी जो वहाँ पे कॉस्ट है दैट विल ऑल्सो बी रिड्यूस्ड एंड आवर ट्रेड बेसिकली विल बिकम मोर फास्टर मोर चीपर एंड इट विल बी मोर एफिशिएंट राइट नाउ व्हाट काइंड ऑफ न्यू डेवलपमेंट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट so this corridor is not just about transport, this corridor is not just about economic system we are talking about. No, we are talking about trade infrastructure also, right? So new things are created, like logistics parks will be there, export hubs will also be there, warehouses also be there, industrial or cultures will also be there. So these are going to help small industrial areas also, right? They are going to be helped globally, they can export their goods globally, right? Digital trade system will also be there, right? Basically we are talking about paperwork becoming online, right? Now if this is becoming online, so it means what? It is going to save our time loss, right? Then we are talking about the custom clearances also, वो भी हमारा जो है बहुत जल्दी में हो जाएगा. जो हमारा goods का real time tracking है that can also be done efficiently, properly and timely, right? So this is going to delay corruption also, and this is going to delay time also. After this, the third thing is financial connectivity. So when we talk about financial connectivity, India's digital system like UPI is already expanding to UAE, right? So this is going to help tourism also, this is going to help business payments also, and other sectors also, right? उसके साथ साथ में technology, startups, all things will be seen over here, right? हमारा जो इंडिया का startup है, our India startup is entering to UAE, right? So they'll be like giving us fast license because of it. So tech and fintech, they are going to work together. The partnership of these two will be seen together, right? Then global markets, if we talk about. So because of this, UAE is going to make us reach, make India reach to Africa, to Europe, and to Middle East also, right? So this path, this corridor is becoming a global trade gateway for India. I hope this is understood. Now let's understand that how, like, what kind of relationship we basically talking about when we talk about India and UAE. So they already have a strong agreement. Okay, this comprehensive economic partnership agreement is there, right? And this agreement is going to reduce tariffs. It is going to promote investment. It is going to improve all the like exports also. So this corridor is built on this strategy that we are going to have strong and long partnership together, right? And this corridor is very important for India. Why? Because this will bring 5 major benefits. सबसे पहला तो ये होगा कि हमारे पास में faster and we'll have like cheaper trade, right? Because time travel, as explained you, it will be very less, right? Shipping cost हमारे पास में बहुत कम हो जाएगी, lower shipping cost will be there, right? After this delivery, if we talk about, it will be very lower, right? उसके बाद में अगर हम बात करें second की, so second thing is that is going to boost Indian exports also, right? Especially for SMEs, right? We are going to export our goods in different countries, so हमारे पास में global हमारे पास में फॉर्मेशन होगा इसकी वजह से, टेक्सटाइल्स विल बी देयर, इंजीनियर्स एंड गुड्स विल बी देयर, एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन हमारा इससे बहुत ज्यादा इनहेंस होगा. उसके बाद में थर्ड सबसे सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज दैट इज जॉब क्रिएशन, है ना? अगर ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा है तो दिस इट मींस व्हाट? इफ वी नीड मोर एक्सपोर्ट, so more factories means more logistic jobs, right? More services jobs we'll have, right? The fourth thing that is very important is it is going to strengthen our India's global role also. As I explained you, हमारे पास में ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन हब होगा इसकी वजह से, विल बी एक्सपेंडिंग आवर एक्सपोर्ट सिस्टम टू डिफरेंट कंट्रीज एंड इन मोर कंट्रीज, विल बी वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स इट मोर, right? Will be opening manufacturing centers also, right? Will be working with export leaders, right? So this is how it is going to benefit India. I hope the news is clear to you. Okay, so now after this let's understand the geopolitical importance also. तो अगर हम बात करते हैं, जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया कि इंडिया मिडिल ईस्ट यूरोप इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर, दिस IMEC दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, कि ये सिर्फ ट्रेड के बारे में, दिस इज नॉट जस्ट ओनली अबाउट ट्रेड, इट इज आल्सो अबाउट ग्लोबल पावर एंड जियोपॉलिटिक्स वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो इससे पहले वी आर गोइंग टू कंपेयर इट विद चाइनाज BRI. So difference, we'll understand that how India is basically different from this, what different we are doing, right? So today many countries are like worried about China's big project that is known as Belt and Road Initiative, that is BRI, right? So China's BRI, China gives is basically loans to other countries, right? ताकि वो अपना infrastructure बना सके, right? But there is a problem regarding this. First problem is debt problem. Many countries cannot repay this loans, right? So China gets what? China gets control because of it, right? It is going to control, right, ports or projects, right? So this is not fully transparent, we can say, right? So some countries feel that they are like trapped in this, trap in this basically track of this China's position, right? Now we talk about this India-UAE corridor. So this is a joint partnership we are talking about, right, between these two countries, right? So there is no feature of debt trap. Equal partnership we are talking about, right? No country is dominating anyone, right? So whatever formalities, whatever legalities will basically go through, they are going to go with like each and every country by their lookouts, right? So now another thing is transparent deals also. We are talking about environmental friendly and sustainable things also, as both the countries basically work towards the environmental process, right? So both the countries, like in China we are facing the problem, in these two countries both are like feeling safe and they are both feeling respected, right? So agar hum baat kare this supply chain ki, so this is going to help us create diversified supply also, right? And especially if we talk about after COVID, right? तो जो हमारी कंट्रीज है होने चाहिए कि कम डिपेंडेंसी हो किसी एक कंट्री पे, राइट? हमारे पास में मल्टीपल ट्रेड रूट्स होने बहुत जरूरी है. India and UAE both support this. They both want that we should have multiple trade route. The dependency on one country should not be there, right? Basically, our power should spread, right? The resources should spread. The relationship should be there, like with each and every country. And this is the common goal that they have, like working toward, and they are basically moving toward. So this is it for today. There is one question that I'll be giving to you. So this is the question that you have. Now what you have to do, you have to write the answer in the chat box, in the comment section you can write. And for the PDF will be attached in the comment section in few hours. And I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. So this is it for today. Thank you for joining.